It is time for the Holy Hour podcast. It's the All Cure podcast. I'm Gavin. Thanks so much for joining us for the first time or once again. This is a podcast, a bi-weekly podcast devoted to the band, the legendary alternative rock, new wave band, whatever you want to call them. My favorite band, probably your favorite band, at least in your top 5 if you found this podcast. It's not the easiest thing to find, but we're trying to make it easier. And if you found it, you probably at least have a strong love for Robert Smith and The Cure. So good on you. You did it. You made it. I'll try to make it worth your while. Thank you for joining us. We're jumping right back into it here. How holy hour of us to extend Halloween to be a 4-week block. But, it kind of all goes hand in hand with The Cure, right? But if you've been following along, last episode, we had just a kind of general Halloween themed episode. We talked a little about dressing up as Robert. We talked about the song Lullaby. And that was all done pre-Halloween, came out the day before Halloween. And this time, we got kind of the backside shift of all that. And on actual Halloween, October 31st, if you're not familiar, we were lucky enough here in Asheville, North Carolina, at the Orange Peel, our mega venue. Not the most mega, there's an auditorium that gets shows too. But this is pretty much where all the main bands play that pass through. If you're of the bigger variety, and somehow the Cured tribute band was playing on actual Halloween night. So how do you pass that up? I was a little like, oh man, I don't want to have to rush to get the kid trick or treating and stuff, and get him tucked in. He's gonna be all jacked up on candy. But he was pretty worn out, and so it all worked out timeline-wise. I felt like they did eventually shift it back a little. Doors at 8, shows at 9. So had him in bed at 8, rushed over there, found parking surprisingly easy, which is never fun. But, when you're an old geezer like me, I guess you worry about that stuff now. But anyway, had to get on over there to the Orange Peel and figure out what kind of show this was going to be like. I had weird expectations, no expectations, hard to say. I don't know how you guys feel about tribute bands out there. I would probably imagine that feelings are kind of all over the place. Some people really embrace it and really enjoy it. Other people are kind of like, eh. Or some people gotta just downright hate it, especially when it's like a really unique and beloved band like The Cure. It's one thing to see like Guns N' Roses tribute or Michael Jackson, just like, yeah, whatever, it is what it is, and even like Grateful Dead or some band, Beatles tributes that, obviously they're not around anymore, so somebody, why not, and it's just a weird thing because you're basically doing covers, but then how far do you take it with the dress up stuff? And so many weird little factors, do you act like the band? Do you have to stay in character the whole time? And you see many variations of it. I'm sure there's some kind of online official dictionary textbook definition of what the criteria is to be an actual tribute band as opposed to just a cover band versus each other. I personally never really cared enough to do the research on that aspect of it. I will just say, I'll go back and I was very more leaning towards the Weary and not in the tribute bands, I love it when a band does a cool cover at a show. And you've probably picked up on this if you've listened to the show. We've done 2 to 3 episodes that just focus on Cure covers, like just straight up covers, whether it's a live cover or something that the band's released. And I go back and forth, and I'm a bit weary, They are my favorite band, so I think anybody that you do hear somebody cover your favorite band, you're glad they're covering it and giving them recognition. And ultimately, the song's going to be cool, but it's kind of a tough sell sometimes because, when you really love the band, it's kind of the perfect version. So what are you doing as a cover? Are you really adding something to it, or are you just kind of, paying tribute to it? So I'm always a little weary just of covers in general. But as far as tribute bands, yeah, it gets weird quick because, you gotta, like I said, the image thing and doing it live in front of people and coming out and getting the roar of the crowd for something that you're basically playing pretend. So it's strange, and I was always very anti it actually, and I've my heart has opened up, not because of this show necessarily, but it does go back. Just to tell you a quick story. Geez, it must have been probably close to 13 years ago now. Right before we moved to Asheville, my wife and I took a cross country drive and basically trying to scope out places we wanted to move to and just take a giant break, and it was a great time to do it. And so we did a cross country drive, trying to hit up shows along the way too. And we are kind of just having bad luck with like what shows we were catching while we were in various cities across these fine United States. But we ended up out in L.A. and we were able to catch Echo and the Bunnymen, which was awesome. But then another night that we were there, we were like, oh, the Troubadour would be cool to go there finally. I've got so many like bootlegs and stuff from there. But the only band playing, and I forget, I think they're called This Charming Band. And they're a Smiths Morrissey cover band. And we're like, I don't know. And that's pretty dear to my heart too. Like The Cure and Morrissey, like Robert Smith, of course, is very unique. I didn't know how I wanted to see some dude up there flailing around pretending to be Morrissey. No matter how good the music is, it's easy to just be like, oh, what are you doing, dude? That's embarrassing. But I was like, well, we're here. We'll just have a good time. Let's do it. And we did that one right. We just got there, and I just started pounding some drinks quick. There was a nice little balcony, so we had like the perfect spot where we were like there, but not like up in their faces or anything. And I was blown away at that one. It was really cool and weird in the sense that, and the drinks definitely helped, but sitting up there and the huge Latino crowd that Morrissey has, which is a whole other story in itself if you follow all that. But they were great. Like this whole packed crowd just showed up, and they were just having a fucking great time, like partying and, like acting like it was the damn Smiths reunion. They were so into it. Just watching them was almost the funnest part of just seeing the fans totally embracing these songs for the sake of the song. And the band came out and they nailed it. And I was just impressed because those Johnny Marr guitar parts and stuff aren't the easiest licks in the world. Of course, I think they had like 2 to 3 people doing it, which is usually just Johnny Marr. But they nailed it, and they didn't ham up the theatrics. The singer kind of did some Morrissey mannerisms as you're singing, as one has to, really. But he definitely resembled Elvis Costello more than Morrissey. So that was cool, and it made me feel a little better. I was like, oh yeah. And I just really enjoyed that, and it was a total shock. I was like, oh my God, how did I enjoy this? But with that approach, my heart opened up to tribute bands a little bit more, and since then, hadn't seen many. We did, like as I talked about in a very early episode, and there was a benefit thing here in Asheville. And that was ages ago now too, but a quickly formed band of mine, we did Mr. Pink Eyes, and we did like 4 Cure songs for that. And we kind of did it where we dressed up loosely, but I just sang them. I didn't really try to fling my arms around and stuff, but it was fun just to dress up basically. And going back to the Halloween theme, but we just had fun playing the songs and realized how fun it is. It's just like, oh my God, just getting up there and playing Cure songs is like a dream come true. So all that is a back story approach going into this Cure one, and I was very shocked. And right off the bat, before I get to the show again, there's definitely elements of, one, there's going to be a lot of just weirdness because I love these songs. 2, seeing people just dressed up as the Cure pretending for like a whole set, and knowing that they're playing at the technically biggest Asheville venue. Ticket was like $20. It's a little steep, I thought, but I'm, kind of cheap. And Reeves, which we just talked about a couple episodes back, played the Gray Eagle, a slightly smaller venue, $420. Like, I think technically under, it was like $18. So I was like, man, how is somebody that's actually in the Cure playing a smaller venue for the same amount of money as opposed to people acting like the Cure? But it was Halloween night, festivities. You gotta just put all weariness aside and show up, and that's what I did. And I gotta admit, just as the overall review, I had a great time. There was definitely ups and down moments in my torn little Cure fan heart, but it was fun, and it was weird just to paint the picture. I guess I did have some backup, and that helped a lot. My friends John and Rebecca and her friend Emily showed up. So it was cool to have people just to bounce the ideas and fun off of as well. John and Rebecca, you may remember from a couple episodes back, probably quite a few now, but I think it's called John and Rebecca from the Edge of the Deep Green Sea. So they were willing to tough it out with me, and they were, approached it with a great open mind as well. So we all just had a couple beers and embraced it. It was definitely a little concerned at first. I got there maybe like 20 minutes before they were supposed to go on, and the place was dead empty. I mean, it's a big venue, so I was like, this is gonna be tough to fill. And if not many people showed up for Reeves on a Wednesday night, then on actual Halloween, would more people come out? Would less? Who knows? There's some good costumes. There weren't a lot of costumes. I decided to just put on a Cure t-shirt. I didn't embrace the costume angle, even though I love a good excuse to wear a costume. There was a a good Jareth from Labyrinth costume. A girl dressed up as that. There's a good Ferris Bueller. So a lot of good 80s themes, and they're kind of billing it as that too, as like the 80s Cure experience or something like that, which kind of fits as I talk about the set list. But yeah, so it was pretty empty right as they were coming out. They came out a little after 9, and the crowd, in typical Asheville fashion, trickled in enough where it was a pretty decent crowd for what it was. Still pretty thin, probably, but it was a Tuesday night after all, even if it was Halloween and a lot of stuff going on in town that was free and not $20. So makes sense. But so first reactions, they come out. And they actually kind of won me over with the way they introduced the set was great. Like, the singer wasn't on stage. They came out. It was just a three-piece, really. It was guitarist, bassist, drummer, no keyboards, which was surprising. And they opened with The Kiss, which was cool. I was like, all right, cool. So, and the guitarist right from the start, Pedro, I later found out, fucking amazing. So that was great that he was just like pounding through this, and like note for note, everything was sounding, the tones were perfect. So in first impression, music wise, Pedro was nailing it from the very first note, and that would continue. Basically, I'm going to praise Pedro through this whole episode. So he was tearing it up. Bass player was right spot on too. He got points because he came out and was very Simon looking, in the sense that not a full dress up necessarily, but he had like the Disintegration era Simon little Bo Peep hat on, you know what I'm talking about? And a lot of flowing drapes under there, like long shirts over pants and such. So he came out and was nailing it and looking good. Drummer looked pretty straight up normal. Had a bit of a Jason hair kind of thing going on maybe, but hard to tell how intentional that was. But yeah, so he was right on too. So that was great. And then the singer comes out, and singer's definitely hamming it up. Very wearing a nice black suit with puffy white shoes, so that was all nice and accurate. Solid wig, very wig looking, but not ridiculous. Like in some of the clips I watched of this band, the wig was not as good as it did look. Maybe in person it just does it more justice. But he came out and started singing, and it was pretty much what you expect. It's so tough. Definitely the toughest role. Like, my initial reaction was like, the singer's not doing it for me. But when you think about it, that's the hardest part of all this, is like such a unique voice, you know? Like, how do you sing it like yourself and still have it sound like the band's when it's just clearly got to be Robert's voice? So you got to channel it enough, but not too much. The hand mannerisms and stuff, all of which he did a great job with, and I have to say it was good performance, but definitely overdid it a little bit. And I'll get into the pros and cons of each in the songs here in a little more detail. But he came out, they did the kiss. I was like, cool, maybe there'll be some deep cuts in here too. But right from the start, they pretty much established they're going to do greatest hits. I think he's made a joke in saying there are a lot of Cure fans here. We're all like, woo! And he's like, super diehard fans. I was like, woo! And it's like people that even know stuff from Blood Flowers, which it's like, come on, it's not that rare or that bad. But I was like, yeah. And he's like, well, we're not playing any of that. And it's like, but he played all greatest hits. It was pretty much the greatest hits album. When you really look at the set list, it was about 20 songs. I think I narrowed it down to, all of which were singles, I believe. So yeah, other than the kiss, every song was a single. A Night Like This, technically wasn't a single, but pretty much a single, right? I think that was the only other exceptions. The rarest ones were like 10:15 on a Saturday night, Caterpillar. But yeah, then otherwise just straight through greatest hits all the way up to Wish. Nothing past Wish, which I guess could be intentional, or maybe just sticking to the obvious. We're doing what the people are most familiar with, and it's hard to say. I was kind of torn on that angle too, which is something you could talk in circles with. I wish you guys were all in the room here with me so we could talk about this, but it was like, I get it, because like greatest hits, you gotta just have fun with it, and that was ultimately, and I'll bring that up a billion times, so I hope it doesn't get annoying, but they took the angle of fun Cure, like we gotta just have fun, it's a fun night out, and I get that. I don't know, it's hard to say, because I feel like a lot of Cure fans would have just as much fun dancing around to Faith or something, or there's a lot of gray area too. Everyone's always like happy Cure, sad Cure, and it's like there's shit in between, like Push and stuff, or there's plenty of just songs that are like good rock songs that aren't necessarily singles too, that would be fun, and little spices thrown in there. But I get that you're going for the mass, whatever fun potential. So of course, why not play Let's Go to Bed in the Walk, and but I mean, it was literally song 2 came out, and it was Why Can't I Be You, which is just like, whoa, it's like way too early in the set to play Why Can't I Be You. But if you look at the greatest hits, it's like, right in there in the front too, and like, what is it? Might even be the first song in Galore, right? So I don't know. I get it, but at the same time, part of me is like, man. And I guess they didn't. No way they knew the irony of the Cure show here, and closest venue on the last tour was Charlotte, and we've talked about this over and over again. But the Cure themselves only played singles when they came to North Carolina, so I can't really bash the Cure tribute band for only playing singles if the actual Cure only played singles. Difference is the Cure had like 3 hours worth of singles to choose from, and that includes like Hanging Garden and stuff. So I mean, some good dark singles in there too is what I'm getting at. But yeah, I guess just some of the quick stats. They played for about an hour and a half, so it was like, and the fact that it was like the encores was kind of funny in the sense, because they played like an hour and a half of like late encore stuff from the last tour. So really, if you took like the last hour of a actual Cure show, it was a lot of those songs, like Why Can't I Be You and Close to Me, Let's Go to Bed, Boys Don't Cry. So it was kind of like if you just took that last hour. I was kind of torn too, where I was like, well, if the real Cure plays for 3 hours, these guys should play for 4 hours. Most of them are younger than Robert, I would imagine, and such. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe that means they should play less. But so yeah, I don't know. If I definitely didn't want to see a tribute band play for 3 hours. But anyway, getting back to the set. Yeah, so it was tough, because it's like part of you wants to hear the deep cuts, but I get that they're playing the singles. But then it's kind of like I had this passing thought of like, well, man, wouldn't it in a perfect world like a tribute band should play all the cool Cure songs that the Cure never plays? Like that would make more sense because you got fans there. I mean, who's just going to see a Cure tribute band on a whim? So like, part of me's like, don't play all the shit that you just hear constantly. Play like Halo and stuff like that. That like you're never gonna hear the real Cure play it. So you might as well hear, you know, imitation Cure play that. So I don't know. So if the boys are listening to this by any chance, I'd say go ahead and sprinkle in a couple deep cuts just to like really, you know, keep people on their toes, because it is a little like, I don't know. But I see this. You just got to play the singles and stuff. So I'm curious if they know those songs, and I'd imagine that they're huge Cure fans, and if they're going to learn every perfect little note or something like the Kiss, then they would probably be big enough fans where they could probably crank out a few of the deep cuts, because I didn't see really much evidence online. I really wanted to record this episode as soon as I got home that night to keep it fresh and all that, but I wanted to do some research too, and I looked up this band and tried to. So I guess now is the first time to officially say their website needs some work. Every little link just links back to the same page, and I talked to Pedro, the guitarist, afterwards just for a second, just to tell him how impressed I was with his guitar playing, and he was like, cool. And I was asking him if he had his own material, because I'd like to hear what he comes up with or what band he plays in. And seemed like a super sweet dude from Brazil, I believe he said. But he said that, yeah, he did, and you can find it through the website. But I haven't been able to find anything. I haven't been able to find any like backstory to this guy. The pages, the band even on the webpage looked like a different band other than the singer. They have a keyboardist and guys that don't look really anything like what they did. Maybe they were changing up their image so drastically, but I didn't think it was even the same band. It was very strange. And so yeah, guys, update the webpage, man, and put some more clips up and stuff, because a lot of the clips didn't really show any evidence of like deep cuts too. So I'm like curious, did they only play these greatest hits at everything that they do? But because they've been touring around, I don't think I've said it yet, but they're from San Diego. They toured around. It wasn't like a massive tour. It looked like just kind of scattered dates here and there. But yeah, that's a huge other part where I'm worried. And it's just like so much of this is just like, Jesus, that's a job, getting to be in the Cure tribute band. It's like just jealousy factor. So you kind of want to like be skeptical or weary of them just because you're like, man, I want to do that. I want to tour around and play Cure songs to like giant venues with people there, even if it's not mass crowds, you know. But that'd be rad, man. I didn't know that was even a possibility. I would have told my guidance counselor in high school that that's what I wanted to do as my dream job if I'd known that was possible. I'm sure they're not like living in mansions in California because of this, but you know, same time, damn, maybe it's not too late. Maybe I can form an Asheville Cure tribute band that only plays the deep cuts. That would go over well. Just saying it out loud, it sounds more ridiculous now, so I don't know. But anyway, staying focused, back on the set. Let's see. Let's start at the beginning while they're actually playing. So yeah, like I said, just plowing through the greatest hits. I don't know. It looked like they were using Schecter guitars. I didn't really get close enough to see, but it was, and that's coming up episode where Donald and I talk about gear. So those are, you know, if you're not familiar, the guitars that the Cure all switched to in the mid 2000s, I think, around there, and they've been using these Schecter guitars, and never played them, but it was interesting and kind of cool if the band's all like using them. Pedro had a Telecaster. I do have to put that on the record, and made it sound amazing. So that was kind of cool. You kind of stuck. They played like a Les Paul and a Telecaster at times. But yeah, and then they had something resembling Schecter guitars. They might have been something else. But so yeah, again, the bottom line was the fun Cure, and that's what they're going for. It was like at times teetering on like wedding party fun, but at the same time, if you're having a few drinks and you just, you know, the Cure isn't the easiest band to see. So in that aspect too, there's probably a lot of people at this show that have never seen the Cure live and probably never will. So, I mean, in a sense, maybe it does fall into that like Beatles tribute band kind of thing. But so that was cool, and I really just had to embrace that line once I got like the goofiness, and the singer was good in the sense that he broke out the character in between some songs. He wasn't like trying to talk like this in between and go ooh and stuff. I mean, he would throw in a couple of that, and then but then they'd get a little jokey too. He's all like, "You got to be having fun because you don't want to get sad, Kier up here." I was like, "Yes, we do." But so they made jokes, and they tried to keep it light and fun and do like 80s dancing during Close to Me and stuff, which is a little goofy because it doesn't really match up with Cure stuff. But that's the nerd side of me where I'm like, he doesn't dance like that. But same time, that's where it's at, and that's where they were just and even talking to Pedro for a second there. He was all like, it's all just about fun, and we're having fun, and if you guys have fun, then it's all matches out, and I get that. But so it was cool. A lot of singing along. Everybody was there, was just having a good time and dancing and stuff. So that was cool. I of course was just swinging my arms around and bobbing. Never really want to, and I kind of compare that with like public dancing. At least for me, is very much like watching a tribute band where you really do have to just hit a specific switch in your head and turn off and not be really criticizing everything and being self-conscious and stuff like that. So I get it, and I was glad to just see that, and that kind of fueled my love for what was happening a bit more. And that was like the biggest positive I could pull out of it was like these are just such good songs. It doesn't matter who's playing them, but these guys are playing them and they're nailing it really good, in the sense of the music and the vocals in theory. And like everyone's just cutting loose, and you just really see the love in people's faces while they're dancing around to these songs. And it really does just remind you of how like many great, even greatest hits and singles this band has, because it's like people are having this much fun, listening to somebody else play these people's songs. So I mean, that was like just a huge testament to me. I would think it's kind of beautiful thing to watch, just people having fun and the fun lines of cutting loose to some Cure. And so even though it was like a thinner crowd, everybody there was really into it, I felt like, and had good energy and were, really filling in the gaps where there weren't as many people with cheers and dancing around and stuff. So that was cool. Felt like Asheville kind of pulled through there and even reinforced my faith in the community for their love of the Cure. So and I'm sure there was plenty of Cure fans that weren't there. But going back to the playing of the band, like I said, I can't say enough great things about the actual playing of Pedro there. He really stood out as a great guitarist, and it was weird because there was no keyboards, as I said, but there was some programming stuff going on. And I was a little like, what? But they were smart about it. They kept it super low, but you would hear like the kind of organy strings of like Love Song or something, and the essential parts were in there, but they must have been coming from like a laptop on the back, which was weird because it didn't really seem like they were playing to like a click track or anything. The drummer wasn't like obviously playing to anything, but so they were tight with it. It was super tight. And you could hear the strings and stuff like that, and the little piano parts of like Fascination Street and Just Like Heaven, and so it was in there. Definitely thought I was losing my mind for a minute because like when you hear 90% of a band, you do sometimes just kind of fill in the gaps with your brain. And so that was weird, because then only in the sense that I understand they're just a tribute band traveling around. They probably have a keyboardist that just couldn't make it or something, so those are times to do those kind of things because you can nowadays. But it sucks because it makes you kind of question, you're like, well, if that's in there, it seemed like everything else was accounted for. Pedro's guitar playing was pretty rad, but I was like, I wonder if there's like some extra like layering or something going on in the back too. You never know. You got to be an old skeptical man these days. You don't really know what's coming out and what isn't. So that was a little bit of a negative for sure. I was like, they should have just had a keyboardist. But so yeah, that was cool. But his playing was amazing. He was even playing a lot of the choral style of like guitar stuff or keyboard stuff on the guitar, like close to me, was really impressive. He was playing a lot of dum, 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 dums and stuff like that, which is tough because even when the Cure kind of did their moments of like, we'll do it all on guitar, some of it was a little more hit and miss, you know, like they didn't always pull it off. So it was cool to see somebody else doing it, and it sounded great. So a bit thin at times, and I'll address the songs that were slightly on the negative side in my nerd opinion. But yeah, it's just moving down the line. Like I said, the drummer and bass players were able to, like, you know, definitely didn't have the punch of a lot of Simon bass lines maybe, but for all intended purposes, he nailed it. You know, I didn't hear anything where he had to like change the bass line or anything. It sounded like they're all pretty spot on with those bass lines, and really did a great job there too. The singer, so I've been kind of tiptoeing around him. I think you probably picked up on that vibe. And like I said, I was just torn because it is ultimately the near impossible task of stepping into Robert's giant shoes and convincing people that you're, you know, even no matter how many drinks you've had, that would be a tough one to convince the audience of. Which I do highly recommend. And probably my biggest regret of the night is that I should have just got totally annihilated and took a cab home or something. But, you know, it was only a couple beers in. So those kind of things, if you just got like really hammered, and that's probably why the Morrissey one worked so well out in LA, because your eyes start getting blurry, your brain gets a little swishy, you're having more fun. It's pretty much the Smiths up there. It's pretty much the Cure up there. So, should have done that, but I still had fun. So that says that even only a couple beers in, and I was still able to really get into this guy. I felt like negatives wise, I'll just get those out of the way. He did kind of overdo the moany side of Robert, like where he was trying to channel the voice a bit too much, and it was a little too. If you listen to some of the clips, I think you'll know what I mean. It almost sounds like he's trying to incorporate an accent in there, but probably not a proper theater major, maybe. I don't know. It just sounded a little marbly in his mouth and stuff, and didn't quite. I mean, vocal wise, the fact that those songs aren't the easiest to sing, you know, like even Fleeting Thoughts as a guy that likes to sing and doing a tribute band, and they're not easy songs to sing, and like while a lot of the times he wouldn't do the exact pitch of Robert, it was you know, he didn't change any of the keys from what I could see, so it was all pretty spot on. But yeah, it was just a little bit overdoing it. But otherwise, like I said, he didn't totally method actor it, so it was cool to just see him kind of step out. And when he relaxed a little bit more, it was actually a little bit funner for me to just kind of see him as a guy doing some Cure covers, you know, and not so much a pretend session, you know. So yeah, it was a little tough, but at the same time, he ultimately did a great job, and you know, was good at working the crowd without overdoing it too. So the wig, you know, is a wig. It's impossible to get actual Robert hair perfect. So like I said, that looked good. He did like change up a few of the lyrics in a weird way too. It wasn't really like mixed up words in a drunk Robert kind of way. Which would be totally understandable, but it was just like Friday I'm in love. It was like Saturday's a waste. I'm like, that's not the line. But I don't know. So maybe a little more, or maybe just cutting loose and having fun. So that's some nerdy stuff there. I can't really bash anybody for that, but you know, if you're doing the tribute band, you might want to get some of the, there was a few little changes of lyrics and phrasings and stuff. I was like, huh? One of the other negatives was got a little too wedding party feeling. They played Caterpillar, which was an awesome one because that is a rarer cover, even though, you know, single and well-known song. But, you know, as far as heavy-hitting singles, that's a rare one. I was looking forward to really digging in and watching that one. But they decided to do like a conga line variation of like, all right, you're going to be the caterpillar and you dance around and everybody hold on to each other's hips. And me and our friend's friend, we were like, we can't do this. And I just retreated to the bar for that one and watched from afar. But that's probably more my just, not that I'm too cool for a conga line. It's just that stuff always makes me feel really awkward. And I don't like chicken dances. I don't like Macarena or electric slide. Anything like organized dances just freak me out, and I don't want to really be a part of them. If the mood strikes me and I want to dance, I'll do it. But I'm not a big dancer. But if I'm gonna do it, it's definitely not gonna be that. So I understand you're just trying to work the crowd. Everyone that did it seemed to be having a blast. So all the power to them. I wouldn't recommend changing their set necessarily, other than it's a weird thing to see at like anything Cure related. It's like, wow, Cure's all about like embracing people's social awkwardness, right? Isn't that a huge testament to the Cure? Is that we all fit under this umbrella because we're kind of socially awkward? Maybe on the Venn diagram, isn't that one thing every Cure fan has in common? Why would you put us in this position of awkwardness? But I think that's more me than the band. So I can't really even say that's an official negative, but I didn't really enjoy that. So sorry, dudes. Ultimately, the Cure fun side, they kept it fun, they kept it upbeat. Like I said, it was all the singles. How can you not have fun hearing those songs? So they won. And if I had to give like an ultimate review, it was like, well, I had fun. So their mission was accomplished. I got a little bit of a Cure fix, and I'm glad they came through. I hope they do come back. They were saying that they were having a great time in Asheville, and that they want to come back on like a Tuesday night and bring a Depeche Mode. Seems like I saw some crossover on their webpage. There's a Depeche Mode cover band too, or tribute band, sorry, out in San Diego too, that they probably team up with a lot, and that would be pretty awesome because that way it would be like more of a double whammy. So I'm all for it. If any venue is going to have them back, it would be the Orange Peel. For as much as I do even love going to the Orange Peel, it is a really great venue. They, for some fucking reason, really embrace these tribute bands. And when it's something like this, I'm cool with it. But yeah, I don't know why. It's really strange. I guess people really enjoy it. And seeing a Cure one, I get it a bit more. I'd rather see people playing Cure songs than most actual bands playing their own songs. But yeah, so Orange Peel, again, if the Cured guys are listening to this episode, definitely keep hitting them back up, because the Orange Peel really embraces tribute bands. And I don't mean to say that in a snotty way. It's just kind of confusing. I was just like, every other week, it seems like there's a tribute band at the Orange Peel. So very strange, but cool. Why not? I only put a slightly negative filter on it because I always look at the damn paper listings or online, and it's like I get excited for a second when you see a big picture of like Robert Smith's face and it says playing on. I'm like, whoa, what? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's the tribute band. So, and I'm sure a lot of people do the same thing for Michael Jackson or whatever the tribute it is. Let's see. So yeah, it's hard to find clips of these guys online. They don't really have too many other clips. So I'll post a few on the Facebook page, and you can let me know if you agree. Am I being too hard on the singer? Like I said, ultimately I'll teeter on the side. He did a good job, and he sells it, and vocally he's even right on. But just those few little super fan thing hang-ups I have are a little tougher to get by. So it's easy to love the guitars because they're just playing the notes perfectly. And, being a guitar dude, I can respect that a lot easier too. Or just like, wow, that's not an easy little lick to nail. Some of the rougher songs, I guess I have to go with some negative here. Let's see, the worst ones were like Hot, Hot, Hot. Just because maybe it's not my favorite Cure song in a sense too, so that made it a little tougher to watch somebody else play it, but that's a tough song to play. The Cure even doesn't seem quite as solid when they play that one live, but it was pretty thin, and I didn't really dig that one. Fascination Street, I thought he sang it a little weird. Again, the voice, I don't know if it was a deliberate thing or if he's got an accent that was kind of creeping in too. But something, for some reason, on Fascination Street, he was saying it really weird, and it didn't sound quite right. Love Song seemed a little flat, and that kind of was strange because that went back to, if you look at all their singles, that's kind of the more slower paced of singles of their greatest hits. So it was kind of like, well, maybe that is why they always go with the super peppy ones, because it's funner just to play like the big pop hits, and even though Love Song was a huge pop hit for The Cure, it is kind of a slightly more melancholy song, even though subject matter not so much. But so yeah, you kind of felt a little dip in the energy when they played Love Song, and that might have just, I don't know if that was even so much the band, but what Pictures of You was a little weak, I thought, for some reason. Just like it wasn't quite as tight as I thought it would be for being such a Cure staple. And again, maybe that's because it's like technically my all-time favorite Cure songs, and maybe I was being a little more critical than the others. But for some reason, yeah, I think just like all those little riffs and stuff, even the guitar seemed a little less like knocking it out with that one. Highlights, my favorite ones, I think they did really good with like the early stuff that was a little more guitar stuff, like 10:15 sounded great. They did Jumping Someone Else's Train again. That was cool too. That was a rarer one, I guess. So some of those, and best ones, The Kiss, really loved that. A Force sounded good, so that was cool because it was just kind of everybody playing the parts, and a little more stripped down Cure, I think works better than like the big epic Disintegration songs. So the fact that 3 of the ones that I thought weren't the best were like the singles off of Disintegration, which is a little strange. Lullaby sounded really good, but yeah, for some reason, maybe just because of that epic feel, they weren't really able to capture that quite as good. But yeah, otherwise, pretty much right on. The dynamic of the Cure is just so strange, like the actual Cure, because it's like you do have those epic songs versus a very stripped down garagey stuff of the early stuff, and a range of the dynamics of the Cure pretty much all over the place. Even again, going back to like how peppy the singles can be, from like Why Can't I Be You to like Love Song. It's pretty drastic, So yeah, ultimately I had a great time. I enjoyed myself, so I would recommend it. If they come to your town, definitely check them out. I felt like the ticket price might have been a little steep just for my embracing of a tribute band, but to a normal person, I guess $20 isn't that big of a deal. But I would recommend it. It was cool. It was just a fun night to go out. You don't expect it to be an actual Cure show, of course, but at the same time, like I said, it's just fun to meet up with some friends, have some drinks, and watch some people play Cure songs. It's a cool, a lot worse ways you could spend the evening as a Cure fan. So definitely check out their schedule. I'll put everything online on the Facebook page and such, and I hope the band, if you're listening to this somehow, keep at it. I think it's really cool. I'm sorry I had to address some negatives there, but at the same time, a lot of pluses there, and you definitely won me over. Like I said, going into it very weary and skeptical. I love this band. You can't fuck around with that stuff, and it's one thing to fuck around just talking about the Cure, but like playing the actual songs, you don't want to mess with that. But they did, and they pulled it off, so I was impressed. It was like very to the point, and didn't even do like a technical encore. They said, can we do another song, when they played it, so that was cool. Didn't drag it out, and just seemed like really good guys too. They seemed fun, and were very up for mingling and stuff. We split pretty quick after I talked to Pedro there. We headed out. Yeah, they seemed very eager to get to know some people of Asheville and have more fun. So I hope they had a good night, and they traveled back. They said they were headed to Cincinnati, then flying back to LA or San Diego, and which is like, wow, you fly too? That's pretty awesome. So I'm just jealous, man. Can I join your band? I'll play keyboards, guys. Come on. So yeah, that's all I got. Thanks again for listening. I hope you go see them out there. I found a video clip of them with fucking Lowell playing drums for something. I don't know. It was just like kind of cut into a montage. Lowell, why are you doing that, Lowell? Nothing against the Cured and nothing against you, Lowell, but that just seems like two worlds that shouldn't. He's done this before, and I guess that's just further shows how down to earth and technically cool Lowell is. But I don't know, man. I feel like he should just be like a little like, nah, I can't play cover bands in my own old band. That's just weird. But who knows? So To me, I find that strange. Let me know in the thread if you think that that's super awesome or also just strange. I won't say lame, I'll say strange, but it is weird. So yeah, look for that clip on there too. Lowell hidden in there somewhere playing drums on a song. So what else we got? I guess as far as covers, since we got a couple minutes, something worth noting in recent years to make this our third installment of Cure cover themed. Few new ones on the horizons that aren't even officially out yet, I think, but I've heard them in like samplings and stuff. But the infamous String Busters band, like kind of a bluegrassy, old timey stuff. They're putting out a covers album, pretty well known band, and play cool stuff if you're into that genre. I think they're the ones that backed up Ryan Adams on a Newport Folk Festival show or something. Might be wrong about that, but they're really cool, and they do a cover Just Like Heaven that's either out now or not out, but you might be able to find that online. I'll look for the link too. But it was pretty cool. Just lots of good. It'd be exactly what you think it is, like an old-timey version, well sung though, cover of Just Like Heaven. One that's been floating around on the more indie scene there is Frankie Rose from Vivian Girls and Dum Dum Girls. She's putting out apparently a full cover album of 17 seconds, the full album, and there was a sample of a forest floating around out there, or the actual song. It sounded rad. I thought it was really cool. I like those bands of hers. Haven't really heard any solo stuff, so I'm gonna definitely pounce on that one if I get a chance. It sounded like it was gonna be part of some weird subscription vinyl thing only, so it might be a little hard to track down, but I'm assuming once it gets out there, somebody will strip it and throw it around somewhere. But yeah, it was cool. It's like almost sounded exactly like a forest, so that was whether you consider that a plus or minus with a cover, I don't know, but her vocals are super awesome, and you know, at least they played it right and they played it good. So I would love to hear like some of the deep cuts from 17 seconds covered too, so that's pretty exciting. Frankie Rose, and a cover of Mouth to Mouth from the Glove album, from Black Sugar Transmission, and I have no clue when they recorded this, so how new it is, and I might not even have an actual link I can share with you guys on the Facebook page, but I'm going to keep digging around for that, and if nothing else, you should check out Black Sugar Transmission's Bandcamp site, because they have tons of original music that sounds really cool and worth checking out too. Very synth pop heavy, very gritty and cool though, and the cover of Mouth to Mouth is exactly all of that, because it's really got that cool kind of modern edge put to like a Glove type song, and just a really cool interpretation of it, so and a super rare one for that matter. So yeah, if I find it, I'll put a link on it. Otherwise, just do some digging on your own. You might be able to find it, or contact the band and they can have a way to get it to you. Once again, that's Black Sugar Transmission. Apparently Andy, what I'm assuming is the front man, also plays in KMFDM, and he was on their last tour playing guitar for them. So pretty cool stuff. And stumbled across a Stereophonics, just a live on YouTube cover of Friday I'm in Love. So if you remember old Stereophonics from the 90s, those guys are pretty cool. I think it was just for a live thing, but if you punch that in on YouTube, you could probably find it. Or again, it'll be on our Facebook page. So just come on over to the Holy Hour Facebook page. It's only a matter of time. Just like the page. We don't post that much stuff, so it won't screw up your Facebook feed. Yeah, like the page, and you'll see all the extra little tidbits that accompany visually what I'm talking about. Also, just go ahead and subscribe on iTunes. You know, it makes it easier. You don't have to worry if my computer technology is crappy that day, which tends to happen a lot. Anything involving iTunes, you never really know what you're gonna get. So that way, as soon as it's good and ready to go, it'll pop up on your feed. So subscribe on iTunes. You can also drop us a comment there on how things are going as the year's winding down. We'd love some input from you guys. What do you want to hear more of? What do you want to hear less of? If you got some topics, we're always up for topics. We're getting 60-some episodes in here, so if there's something you think we should have covered at this point that we haven't, drop us a line, and you can do that directly to me too at gavinconner@gmail.com. Keep in mind we are gradually moving through the album reviews, and we got Kiss Me Kiss Me on deck next, and probably gonna try to get that out before the end of the year, and we'll kick off 2018 on the cusp of disintegration. So get ready to listen to Gavin gush. So we got all that to look forward to, some good ones to round out the year, and like I said, gear episode coming up next. So sorry to all the people that don't like listening to dudes just talk about guitars, but we have to devote a whole episode to just two nerds talking about guitar stuff. So that's coming up. I hope you enjoy it though. And Instagram, Holy Hour Podcast on Instagram. We get feelers for upcoming shows and other little tidbits there. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you go do some Cure tributes yourself. Go learn some Cure covers and post them on our Facebook page. We'd love to hear. Maybe we'll just make this the open door policy episode to any Cure tribute or cover video you got. Go post it on our Facebook page. Thanks to The Cure tribute band, for coming to Asheville all the way from San Diego and giving me something to babble about for nearly an hour. And yeah, I hope you guys traveled back safely and keep up the great work. Till next time, talk hard.